Come all ye bold Bala fans, and unto me give ear. I'll give you now a story to give your spirits cheer, concerning a curmudgeon who sang of the river profound, a man of wit and wisdom, deserving of renown. Rich Bala was a balladeer, a revivalist of traditional music, especially of the Hudson River. His baritone voice, filtered by tobacco and cappuccino, rang out with songs of revolutionaries, artists, lumberjacks, sloop skippers, canallers, folk singers, and even storytellers, all to laud the river he loved. Now Rich knew who put the yank in Yankee Doodle, where to tip your hat to appease the imps of Dunderberg, and why New York's barefoot boy had boots on. For 30 years I had the honor and the agitation of performing with Rich as the Hudson River Ramblers. Indeed, Rich could be ornery. He was, as I often would say, a diatribe waiting to happen, and he took that as a form of praise from me. Yet he was the kind of curmudgeon who charmed more than he confused, though his sense of humor could be an acquired taste. Oftentimes, right before we were about to begin a show, the people booking us would come up and would present a check. Rich would accept it, would kind of in a deliberate way fold it up and tuck it into his pocket. Then he would go over and begin to pack up his guitar and would turn and say, "All right, Johnny, we got what we came for. Let's get out of here." The people would go into a panic. "What? You haven't even performed a story, let alone a song." And Rich would say, "Well, as long as I see you crying for us, what do you think, Johnny? We can stay and give him a show, can't we?" And then he would finally give a little grin. The people still wouldn't get his sense of humor, but that was truly Rich Bala. It could be, well, agitating. Now, among the many, many incidents like that occurring during our 30-year tenure, there's one in particular I'll share with you, and I call this story Yankee Doodle Interuptus. We were about to perform at a lovely venue in Cooperstown, the museum there. The stage was all set. We had an audience of venerable baby boomers, history buffs, a few families sneaking in to hear our program on the American Revolution. It was kind of early on, and we weren't all that well versed in what we were going to do. And I thought we had agreed that I would give an explanation for terms in Yankee Doodle. What's a Yankee? What's a doodle? What's a macaroni? And as Rich would say, and why was he riding on that pony? That's suspect, isn't it? And he'd give a little laugh. So we walk out on stage. There's an applause. Rich brings out his guitar, sets his capo, adjusts his music stand. He's got all verses there lined up, ready to go. And out of what seemed to be our plan, I began to kind of sing. Yankee Doodle went to town, riding on a pony, stuck a feather. But before I could get that into my hat, Rich pipes up, "What are you doing? Huh? What are you singing for? I'm the folk singer. I'm supposed to be introducing the set. They didn't come here to see you sing." And the people in the audience are looking at one another, in dismay. And I say, "Well, I just thought." "You thought? You thought? What kind of a doodle are you to think you could begin without me?" And then Rich says, "And you know what's worse? You are a doodle." And he's jabbing a finger at me. I'm mortified. But Rich, he doesn't care. He's kind of enjoying it. Goes on saying, They don't even know what a doodle is, but you just defined it for them. You've got nothing going on but squiggles, dead wood in your head. Now that's a doodle. Why don't you go and tell them about that? Hey, better, why don't you tell them what a Yankee is? So I stammer a little bit and say, well, it means Johnny Stinky Cheese, the idiot. It was a nickname the Dutch had for the English. And Rich says, yeah, and that's what Dr. Richard Shuckburgh began to sing when he saw Connecticut Yankee Doodles appearing to come help the Redcoats fight the French in the 7 Years' War. And that's the real name for it, not this French and Indian stuff. 7 Years' War. And suddenly we had a bit for our act. And then he looks at me. There I am in my finery, wearing ruffles and lace, a green brocaded waistcoat, and he says, look at you. And Rich is in kind of his plain colonial regulars, and he says, look at this frippery, this foppery. You know what you are, Jonathan? What? I dare say. Rich comes at me. A macaroni. Ha 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 ha! And he's laughing. That's what he is, isn't he? A macaroni. Go ahead. Give him an applause for being a macaroni. And everyone's suddenly clapping and applauding. And on we go. And Rich is telling them that the reason that Yankee Doodle rode a pony be because that's what children did, and the Redcoats treated the American colonists like children. And by the time we had finished and sung some of the verses, they were all applauding, singing along. We did the whole set. And afterwards, when we get off stage, Rich says, hey, how'd you like that diatribe? And I said, Rich, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was what was going to happen. And he said, yeah, you didn't know? Well, now you know. And now we have something to perform. Yankee Doodle Interuptus. And from that time until the last time we performed, whenever we did Yankee Doodle, I would jump in right in the middle of his singing the opening verse, and he would pretend to get angry and indignant in only a way that Rich could. What are you doing? Interrupting? What do you mean interrupting the middle of the song? And then I would say, they don't even know what a Yankee is, or a doodle, or a macaroni. And then we would go and give them the definition, and that would get them not only singing Yankee Doodle, but appreciating the history, the heritage, the majesty, the magic of the Hudson River, because that was the magic of Rich Bala, that charming curmudgeon whose voice will continue to ring out in our heads, our hearts, and up and down the banks of the Hudson River. So, finally, I'll say, Rich, though often irritated, a curmudgeon, a diatribe waiting to happen, why, could be happy and will be happy if we continue to find our way along the river that flows both ways, with Rich's spirit in the air, singing above it, and giving a little smirk of a smile to encourage us to find out more about our Hudson River. And that's our Rich Bala, my dear friend.